I'm Ken Rhoades from Michigan, and I'm a target individual.
And a lot of people started calling you recently GMN Kenny, huh?
GMN Ken, yes.
Yeah.
You listen to the Pete Santella show whether you like it or not.
There you go. There you go. Your involvement with GMN, we'll talk about that just very briefly, but GMN, or Guerrilla Media Network, you connected to us. Tell that story about how you actually made contact with me. And I really want you to be as brutally honest, and I love the story.
I'm always honest with you.
Yes, sir.
Well, I knew about Pete because I'd never heard of Pete till Chief Kessler.
Well, talk to me. I want you to talk to me. I'm good. Let's start that again.
Okay.
Yeah. So tell me the story. Tell me the story again about how you approached my show, me wanting to educate me. Tell that story.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I went on Chief Kessler's show, and this guy named Pete Santella was moderating him and building Chief Kessler up. And I kept listening to Chief Kessler for like 2 months, and some days I was the only one on there listening to him. Mm-hmm. But I heard what Pete was saying. I said, "Man, this guy is a truth teller." So I need to let him know what's happening to target individuals, because we don't have a voice. So I said, okay. I got with Chief Kessler and asked him if he'd interview Amy Anderson, and he said, "Oh, sure, bring her on." So I brought her on, and she started, and I knew Pete was listening, so she started giving out all the patent numbers, and Pete was checking her, because this is hard to believe when people tell you. Then Pete you actually kept Chief Kessler's show over 15 minutes longer than what he was even dealing, and you got it. And next thing I know, Chief Kessler's calling me and telling me, "Oh, he wants to get her on his regular show." I said, "I accomplished what I tried to do."
That's right. You told, now by the way, the patent numbers that you're referring to, she was talking about technological mind control.
Right.
And not only was she talking about it, but she was actually giving the patent numbers to the technology they're using, right?
Yes, and the one that's the hardest for anybody to believe is they can put voices in your head. Mm-hmm. And she gave you that patent number where it told you how they did it. I think the Army developed it. She's more technical than I am. They've done a lot more research. I'm just I run at the wall and hit it and try to go over it. And some people do better research than me, but Amy was very good on her research, and she impressed Pete, and ever since, at least, he's come out telling the truth about our issues, and I really do appreciate that.
Now, let's take a brief little pause here. Okay. I want you to speak to me.
Okay.
Okay. You can say you.
Okay.
Don't talk to the camera.
Okay.
Just talk to me.
Okay.
All right. Don't say Pete Santilli or
right.
You're talking to the camera. You talk to me.
Right.
So tell us can you tell us what year you were born? How old are you? What year were you born?
I'm 71. I was born in 1944. And let me explain to you, Pete, this makes no sense why I got put in this program. I was born...
What program are you referring to? Tell me.
The MK Ultra program.
Okay.
I'm definitely out of MK Ultra. In 1944, I was born in Post Oak, Texas, where there was only like 18 people lived there. They had a post office and an old gas station across the street. I was born at home, and the doctor took me away for 2 weeks. This is what the family tells me. And they said I was jaundice. So I don't know where they took me to for them 2 weeks, but I think that's when it all started. Actually, it's the day I was born. I think it started.
The day you were born. Okay.
Right.
Now, what is it? Is it because somebody like yourself that gets put into the MK Ultra program? Is because you're special, or you have special genes, and they want to experiment with it, or what is the reason why somebody like you gets taken into the program, or anyone else?
I wish I knew. I really wish I could know, because they're never going to come out and tell us that, yeah, we did this. I don't think they'll ever admit to what they've done and what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But now they're getting so brazen that now they're taking people, if you're a whistleblower, they're putting them in this program because they've practiced on thousands and thousands of people, and they got the technology now to where I think they're spreading it on every citizen in the United States. But they do it at levels, because I went for years and I didn't know what was happening. So back in '79, I said, man, I'm just having bad luck. This happens, that happens, and you don't even realize that they got this technology and what they're doing.
Is it limited to is it black people, white people? Is it Hispanics, or what types of people are more susceptible to it? Is there any method?
They use everybody. You're not going to escape this because you're Chinese, because we got Chinese people in the group that I know of that's doing this. There is a lot of black single women, and it seems like all the black women, they first come in, they're around 40 to 45 years old. Hadn't figured that one out. But it's not just black people, they're actually doing it to white people. We got Mexicans in there, we got Filipinos, you got every race, because they're doing a test. They can't just do a test because they plan on taking the world over with this technology. So if you do it on all white people, you're not going to get a true thing, how the Chinese are going to accept it, how the Germans are going to accept it. So they're doing a full-scale experiment.
Are they doing it just here in the United States, or are they doing it throughout the world?
Oh, no. Russia's doing it. Germany's doing it. All over Europe. They're doing it every place. China's got target individuals all over the world. This is not just American. And that's what makes it so hard to prove, because you would think maybe one country would come out and start telling the other about what they're doing, but they're all doing it.
Now, let's go back to where you were born in Texas.
Yes.
Early on, you think you discovered that you did it right from the age that you were born. When you were an infant. When did you discover that you're actually what they call a targeted individual, or somebody in the MK Ultra program? When did you find out?
It actually started in '79. I started getting what the targeted individuals call gang stalking. I call it organized stalking, but I didn't realize what it was. At that time, they were all of a sudden wake up one morning, everywhere you went, you seen the same cars following you around, and they use like maybe 6 to 8 cars, and that's to put fear in you. So I said, okay. Then I went back to Texas. I was in California when that started. I went back to Texas and went to work at a printing company. Didn't realize nothing. It's like, okay, I left there and I got away from this. Then I got married, went to Michigan, and ran a business for 20 years, very successful. Me and my wife both, we ran it. We had 25 employees. As soon as I sold out and got the money that I got, and everybody, the stockbrokers, 2 of them, I had 2 stockbrokers, they done a number on me. They put you in very risky stuff. People said, well, what does that have to do with being a targeted individual? They want to take your money. That's their goal, is to take your money so you can't fight them back. That's why most targeted individuals, they got no money. We even got some that's living in cars all over the United States. I get calls from them all the time, literally living in a little van or the back seat of their car.
Do you think that they've experimented, like with the MK Ultra program, when they experiment with young black women or white men or Hispanics or whoever, but they experiment with people of all race, creeds, and colors, but it's ultimately to intimidate a whistleblower, or in most cases to make a lot of money, to get somebody like you who is successful, okay, get you to give them their money. Is that what the ultimate goal is for the richer people, or the middle class to rich people, is to get their money? Is that what they're looking to do, or to harass them? What is it?
No, they do want to get the money, but the main thing is the total control. And I do blame the New World Order on this, because they do plan on controlling all of us, and with this technology they can control everybody in this. That without a doubt, they can control everybody on the planet Earth with this technology.
You've done a lot of research.
Yes.
And a lot of people, if they're listening to you for the first time, they're going to think, mind control, MK Ultra, sure, there's a lot of evidence of it. But the stuff you're talking about, is there indisputable proof out there, as far as the research that you've seen, that this exists?
Yes, there's a lot of proof out there, but if you take a look at it, you got thousands of people all over the internet saying the same thing is happening. None of them know each other, Pete. When this first happens, nobody knows each other, but yet they're all telling you the same story. To me, that should be proof enough. We didn't get 10,000, 20,000 people and set them down and train them all to go out and tell the same story and put them in every state in the United States. So
when somebody finds out, and you actually discover people either on YouTube or on the internet, you see the typical symptoms of gang stalking and being targeted. Some people, they don't recognize it, but when they do realize that this is happening to them, some of them will contact law enforcement.
Absolutely.
What happens when somebody starts picking up the phone? This is the problem in America, isn't it?
Right, it absolutely is.
The phone, they call law enforcement. What happens?
They say they're being hit in their house with electronics. They tell them, I'm being hit with something because my skin's burning. So then they try to, then the sheriff or the police, in which they are involved in this, they automatically try to get them to a mental ward. I don't know what that's all about, where there's a lot of money into it, but they try to get everybody into the mental health system so they can make money on them.
Is law enforcement properly educated that A, that MK Ultra and this targeting exists, and B, are they medically qualified to be taking people off the street, knowing that the technology exists? Do they know? Are they educated, basically?
Some of them know what's going on, and a lot of them don't. Mm-hmm. A lot of them, you go and tell a psychiatrist, you tell anybody on the street you're hearing voices, and they say, oh, this person's crazy. Well, that ain't true. They got the technology to put it there. I went to Chicago. I made 5 trips for a TI over there. She was a Chinese lady. And she actually went into her house and bought a $30,000 Faraday cage. She had it in her basement. And she called the police, or she called the mayor, I think, and he sent the chief of police out there. So he asked her, well, how, he was making fun of her. How can you protect yourself? So she took him to the basement, showed him her cage that she could sleep in at night, and they hauled her away, and put her in the mental health system. I went down there to try to speak for her, so I was speaking to the detective outside, and I was the one that picked her up. And I forget what his name was, but I said, let me explain to you, this program is going on, and she's not crazy. He said, well, I'm not a psychiatrist, so I wouldn't know that. I said, then how did you go out there and tell her, say you thought she was crazy and you took her to a mental ward? You're not qualified for this, so why did you do that? Well, that's my job. No, it really isn't their job.
Okay, so a lot of people in law enforcement, those that are aware of this technology, do you think that they're actually perpetrating these crimes against human beings? Do you think that they're actively involved in doing that?
Oh, absolutely. Especially the sheriff's departments. The sheriff's department's heavily involved in this. There's a guy out of New York, David Brensko, that he's been sending letters to the sheriff's department telling about the information technology for years. So yes, but there's some of them, not all of them know exactly what's going on, but if you take one sheriff and you got him working for you, he tells the others what to do. They have no clue what they're doing. They just do what they're told.
Now, this is not conspiracy theory, what you're talking about. This is stuff that you know. Now, you met somebody who I've learned about through you. His name is Ted Gunderson. And
right.
He was a very high-level, successful, very honorable FBI agent. So all the way to the ranks of FBI. Tell us what Ted Gunderson told you about his involvement in law enforcement with the targeting of individuals.
Okay. To start with, I'm going to say who Ted Gunderson is in case people don't know him. He was the head of the FBI in L.A. He had 700 men under him. At the time, he had an $11 million budget. When he got a hold of me, I finally got to meet him. I actually bought him a ticket to fly to Washington to testify about what they were doing to us. He told me, Kenny, this is called COINTELPRO. He said, and I will tell you right now, I'm guilty of what I did back in the 70s or early 80s, whatever it was, the Black Panthers. He said, we used it on them. We sent letters. He said at that time we didn't have the electronics. We sent letters to their wife, to them, telling them that we're going to tell their wife that they're messing around, and we'd even put names on it to break up the man and the woman so it would take up his time. And he said we actually tried to break them up. He said I thought it was a good thing because I was doing law enforcement work. He said, boy, do I see how wrong I was now, because he said they turned it on me now, and that was back, I think he's been dead like 3 years now, so it's back in 2011, 12. He said they turned it on me, but they turned it on me with the electronics. He said it's far worse than what I ever what we did back in the 70s, the Black Panthers.
You got to know him personally. This wasn't
Yes.
just a conversation.
No,
in
no,
passing. You
no.
got to know Ted Gunderson
Very personal.
Okay. What was he fighting for at the time? Why were you involved with him? How close did you get to Ted Gunderson with the FBI?
I got close to him because people told me he was fighting about the kids as being used for sex trafficking. He was very, that was his main fight about what they were doing to the kids. And it comes out of the MK Ultra program, the reason they get by this. So he went and investigated one home and found out the kids were all telling, and he interviewed some of these kids that they were being taken through a tunnel. So when they sold that building, the guy that bought the building, Ted, actually got in there to get to do it. They had a bathtub that'd pull up. It would take the kids go through the tunnel out to a parking lot, and they were being used in a daycare center for sex.
And he helped investigate and expose that. At the time, was he ill? Because late in life he actually got cancer and he started becoming ill. Was he out still investigating while he was still ill?
He investigated, I'd say, all the way up to 2 months before he died. Then it got so bad. I really don't know what can. He told me, and I won't say it. He told me it was so bad that there was things, but everybody told me it was brain cancer. He told me no, it was prostate cancer. That really got him. He had brain cancer. And people don't realize with this technology, they can give you cancers, they can give you heart attacks, and it's a slow kill. This is a very slow kill.
And what's the most impactful thing Ted Gunderson said to you before he died? What stuck with you? Anything that comes to mind?
You know, just everything that man said, I had high respect for him. I took him on a radio show, and it wasn't very many people on it, maybe 50 people. And the girl that was giving the interview that I got with her, Ted, she started bringing up all this, what people said about him. And so I lost a lot of respect for her for doing that to him. Yeah, you know, a lot of people didn't. He got targeted just like I did and everybody else. When you start telling when you get over the target, they start all the disinformation, and you're an evil person, and he's a criminal now. They took his retirement away from him, Pete. This guy had nothing when he died.
He had nothing. He was an honorable man as an FBI agent, though.
I got as much respect for him as I do you, and I got a lot of respect for you.
I appreciate
and
that.
he asked me to come to California. He said he had 300 boxes, and I didn't do it. And do I regret it? Yeah, I regret it.
What kind of boxes did he have?
Of all his paperwork. He said, Kenny, they've already stole like 100 boxes from me. This information needs to be protected, because he said one of these days it's going to come out, which I don't know if it is or not. I hope it does. I really hope it does.
100 boxes were stolen, and did they ever find out who stole the boxes?
You know, he told me, and I don't know if it was. Is there a guy named Stu Webb?
Yeah.
I don't remember it, so I can't say for sure that Ted told me. He did tell me, but I don't remember the guy's name.
But you heard that the boxes were stolen.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So after he passed away, when did you find out that he had passed away? How long ago were you here?
Oh, I'd say now it's been about 3 years. I actually got a call from his daughter.
You got a call from his daughter?
Yeah.
What did she say?
She was wanting money to help do an autopsy on him. But you know what, Pete, I would have been happy to do that, but the thing is, we don't have control of what they're doing on an autopsy, so why would you waste, I think it was $10,000 to get an autopsy done when it's going to be phonied anyway.
Why did you want to do an autopsy?
Because they thought he was poisoned.
Although he was ill over the long term with cancer, they still thought that he was poisoned.
He was poisoned, because at the very end, he was starting to gain ground on him. You know, his word was getting out very well.
Okay. All right, excellent. You want to get a drink of water?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to be, real honest, because you watched, like me, behind the scenes.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about... Yeah, go ahead. Okay. All right. Now, that day that you brought Amy Anderson on Chief Kessler's show. He was on Guerrilla Media Network,
Right.
and I had listened to that. You knew that was going to be done. You actually used the term. You said I
backdoored you
because you wanted to get me educated on this stuff because I hadn't even heard of it.
Right.
But you saw that I covered very tough topics.
Right, but the thing is, Pete, if you go through the front door, this is so hard to believe that you might have said, "Oh, I don't believe this." But if I come through the back door and bring somebody else and starts giving you the patent numbers, it worked just like I thought it would work. Because more people need to be out speaking about this, and there's a lot of people that knows about it. A lot of people in the media. And I'm not going to go to one guy that I say should, because I bullhorn him, so you know I'm talking. I won't bring it up, but everybody's got to start talking about this, because this is all of us that's going to be controlled with this technology.
From that point, and then we actually used to call into my show. You started listening to my show, and I would cover, and I started learning more about it. Did you watch me just grab that information, take hold of it, and just run with it? I mean, what was your reaction to what you originally did with Amy? Did you say, "Wow, this guy's really starting to learn a lot about this"?
Well, I knew at least you were doing the research on it, and that's all I ask. If you do the research, you say I don't believe it, then we're still friends. I'm not going to say, well, you're no good, but once you do the research, you can't deny it, and that's what I seen you do. Then you give us the TIs, in which I lined up all that on that 6-hour marathon or 8-hour marathon. It was a long marathon. I wasn't doing this for fame and fortune, or I sure ain't doing it for money, because there ain't much there. When you're telling the truth, that you don't get much money.
Yeah,
so
that's right. There was a day. And you became a regular daily listener of the Pizza.
Oh, absolutely! I never miss a show.
And I appreciate that. That's awesome. I mean, I call us a coalition of like-minded individuals. We're just trying to learn and share as much information as possible. One day, I was on the show with Clive and Bundy on April 8th, 2014, interviewing him. Did you hear that interview?
Yes, I did.
And you heard me say that I was going to go out to Bundy Ranch.
Right.
Okay. At one point, because I'm going to tell you what I heard as far as you coming to Bundy Ranch, but at what point did you say I'm going to go to Bundy Ranch? Was it because of the Clive and Bundy interview, or because of what you heard when I was on the ground there? When was that?
It was because what I heard on the interview that you did with him.
Okay.
And then I heard you say, and I heard that you was going down there, so. Mm-hmm. That's when I got in my car and drove down. I never met you, didn't even know you. I just liked what you was doing.
I never asked you to come, correct?
No.
Okay. I was on the air, and I said, I'm going to Bundy Ranch, and what inspired you to just get in your car and drive 35 hours?
Because I feel like here's family, and it could be my family next. It could be anybody's family. Anybody that listens to this clip here, it could be your family next. So if we don't all stick together, we're going to all hang separately. Because this is a very evil government. That's the reason I came down there. And I'll even tell you the story. When I pulled in down there was some young kids out there kind of walking around. And I asked them, I said, is Pete Santelli out here? One of them said, oh, I don't know who he is. I said, oh, okay. So I walked back up under like some tents or wherever they were. And there's a guy standing there. And I said, hey, is Pete Santelli around? Do you know? He's, who wants to know? I said, well, I'm Ken from Michigan. And then you grabbed me and hugged me. Yeah. You were Pete Santelli. That's how I met you. Honest truth.
Right there at the campfire, right?
Right.
At Bundy Ranch.
Right.
At the Patriot checkpoint.
Right.
Yeah. And that was early on. I think it was Wednesday night after I had recorded the tasing and all that stuff. And I told you that story. We said hello. And that was on Wednesday, April 9th. And we were there on Thursday, and we were there on Friday. More people were trickling in, right? It was just my show, but we started to get a lot of press because of that video.
Right, absolutely.
You saw people coming to the camp, and Citizens Militia, patriotic family members. What was the feeling those 3 days on that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Was it patriotic? Did you feel?
Oh, the feeling was so good, Pete, because I seen people actually bringing their 5 and 6 year olds out there. I said, man, this is what America needs. We don't need to shield everybody says we got to protect the kids. Yes, we do, but we got to also let them know what their future is going to be. And actually, people are bringing their kids out there, very young kids.
So at Bundy Ranch, you know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the media buzz was there. People started to come there. By about Friday, and actually you were kind enough to get us a hotel room so we could get a shower, because we were out there for days, and we got a hotel room. And you had a conversation with me on that Friday. You knew that we were going to go ask the government to get off of the Bundy land and give the cattle back. Did you have faith on that Friday that we were going to be able to accomplish our goal of getting the cattle back and freeing the land up?
No, because you didn't tell me you was going to ask them. You told me we're going to take the cattle back. And we had maybe 500 people. And I told you that night at the hotel room, people, we don't have enough people to do what y'all want to do. You know, they could arrest every one of the 500 people. The next morning we get up, you was already up and gone before I got up. So I got in my car and I drove down. When I made that last turn to go to the staging area, the hairs actually stood up on my arm because I couldn't even see a parking place. I like to park my car in the front because of what I got wrote on it. I like for people to ask me questions so I can educate them. I said, well, I ain't gonna park in the front this time. They wasn't the parking. I had to drive way past the bridge there to park and walk back up there. And we had, I would estimate, I'm not sure, I thought there's at least 2,500 people there. I don't know.
But there were a couple thousand people there.
Yeah, there was plenty of people there. There was enough to do the job.
Versus a handful. We probably had more media people before that point.
Right, exactly.
Than visitors. Okay, so you heard the speech that was given it was a prepared speech by Clive and Bundy to the sheriff. You were there for that. You stood right at the stage.
Right. Matter of fact, I even helped them. If you remember, I was holding your camera, and they had to walk up that deal, and it was a little hard to get up. I even held a couple of them's hand to help them get up it. You remember that?
The sheriff's.
Yeah, right. The sheriff.
That's right.
And I don't like the sheriffs, but I still show respect.
Yes, sir. You were there. You didn't know what was exactly what was going to be demanded.
I had no clue, but I knew that day that we were going to take the cattle. I in my heart, it just told me we're going to get the cattle back today, and we, with all of us together. Me and you couldn't have did it by ourselves. No, Clive had been fighting for years. They wasn't able to take it back. But when the American people come together and show some backbone, we took it back. And we can still take this country back if everybody will get together and do it.
That's right. Let's talk about when Clive and Bundy was talking to the sheriff. The sheriff said, it's all over, you know, the BLM is going to...
They're leaving in an hour. And
what did Clive and Bundy say to the sheriff at that point?
You know, I don't think he believed them, but he told them bring the guns or and put them underneath the flagpole.
And you have 1 hour.
Well, you got 1 hour, and he actually gave them, I think, 1 hour and 10 minutes. Then he said, well, if you people want to go take the cattle, go get it. And that's when everybody couldn't wait. And Pete, after that speech, they had a flock of geese fly over in formation. And I said, this has got to be spiritual. And at that time, Pete, I wasn't full-blown Christian. I've become one because of what they've done to me. I actually became an atheist. But now I do believe in God. I do believe in Jesus Christ. And I think I have some protection from them. Because there have been a lot of things, if I hadn't had protection, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. But when them geese flew over and flew toward the cattle, which I didn't even know where the cattle's at, after I seen where they's at, after we walked from in that gully up to that gate, and them geese flew right where the cattle was at. So I said, you know, it's got to be spiritual. I said, no, I looked at people, Pete, walking up there, and yes, there was a few guns. The people were walking up where I was going, but I didn't see that many guns. But obviously the guns was back behind him. I did see a guy on the overpass with a gun, and I heard a state trooper tell him he need to get out of that gun. He told him, you better go back over and direct traffic. And the state trooper went back over and directed traffic. Even though the traffic wasn't moving at that point, the 15 was shut down for miles, and the truckers was blowing their horns. People were asking us what's going on. They got a lot more coverage that day than what they wanted. They like to hide and do their evil in the dark.
Yes, sir. Now, you, as everybody was proceeding down into the canyon there to go to the gate where the BLM was basically holding back the cattle, You went down from the freeway,
Right.
down the side of the the concrete thing, and you went down into the gully to go there up to the gate. What inspired you? You knew how dangerous it was to be down in that gully. Anyone that went down there knew that they could have died. Correct?
Well, we were going to be the first ones. If they did start firing on us, if they were that stupid like they were in Waco, we were going to be the first ones to die if they started firing.
Were you thinking that when you went down there?
I didn't care. I said, I was hoping God was going to protect me, and we came there to do one thing. If you got to die for what you believe in, then so be it, that I'm going to go and be with God in heaven.
Wow. Well, when you went up to the gate and you saw all of the family members, there were women that went up to that gate. There was Ammon Bundy, David Knight you stood right next to. Were you having that same feeling? What were you feeling when you were at that gate? Like,
I was
prepared.
My feeling once we got to the gate is that they wasn't going to fire on us, even though they pulled the guns and pointed them at us. I didn't think they were going to fire on us because they could see that we had way too many, and they knew that they were flying over with drones and a helicopter. They knew what was going on there. They decided to fight a different day.
All right, so you were up at that gate, and the whole crowd went up to the gate, and that was the moment. I mean, tell me. I guess I'm trying to. There's very few people in the world. Everyone was watching around the world. What was did you feel like positive energy that we were going to do this? Did you feel determination? Were you scared? You're looking on the other side. You got the federal government pointing weapons of war at you.
Right.
At you. Did you feel? What did you feel? Did you feel energy? Were you enthusiastic? What was it?
Well, actually, the time I got to the gate, I was right beside Alvin Bundy when he was talking to Daniel P. Love, and he told him, "Your dad and the boys can come back here." And he told him, "No, we're not coming back. We're not coming back there. We're not stupid." I forget exact words, but in other words, no, we're not going to come back there where you can try to throw the handcuffs on us. He said, "We'll leave in an hour." He said, "No, you're going to leave right now. You're going to get out of here." And then the best I can remember, it sounded like somebody hit the gate with bolt cutters because they had that gate and fence there. And it sounded to me like somebody cut the lock. Then Daniel P. Love immediately started backing up. Something made him start backing up, and I try to remember back, it sounded like somebody cut the lock. He started backing up, and they all started back up. They still holding their guns. In a matter of 15 minutes, we didn't see them. They were gone. The gate came open. The cowboys rode back in there, and then we went back up front. We got out of the way of the canyon because they said it was dangerous because there's a lot of cattle coming through. So I went back up at the top, to find out what was going on.
Was that a good feeling at that moment?
Oh, that was a great feeling.
Did you get a chance to see the cattle coming out?
Oh, I seen them all coming out. I seen them all. But to going down to that gate, Pete, and I'll tell everybody in the world, I came off the freeway, and they had going down a hill under this overpass, and some guy was trying to help me because I didn't realize they had a road another 40 feet over. I could have walked on a road, like a path, been a lot more safe. But I was trying to get down there, and all of a sudden, this guy was helping me, and both of us lost our footing, and it's 30 foot of concrete. I rolled down it. My arm, my shoulder, my face. You remember seeing me, yeah. And you said, "Was it worth it?" And I said, "Absolutely." But I was pretty beat up that day.
You have a shirt on right now, and you have quite a few of them, by the way. So anytime somebody sees you with those shirts, you've got plenty of them.
Right.
One of which has an autograph from Cliven Bundy. What does it say on your shirt?
It says "Victory over oppression."
Yeah.
I forget what it is on the back, but
does that shirt and that victory over oppression symbolism mean a lot more than just being at Bundy Ranch?
Oh, it means that we beat the federal government. If the people stand up, we can beat them on a lot of things they're doing. It's illegal.
Is that true? Based on what you saw, what happened at Bundy Ranch?
Oh yes, absolutely. When the people come together, we can tell them that they work for us. This is upside down. Everybody says, "Oh, the federal government, we can't do nothing about it." No, you can't do nothing about it as one person, but you get enough together and you can do a lot. And that's what the American people got to start realizing, because we're already enslaved. it's just that we're in the level where most people don't recognize it.
You know, the work that we did afterwards, we took the RV out on the road. You had told me, you know, because I said, man, I wish we could go out and go help more of these ranchers and get people together and take our country back. And we went out on the road with an RV. Was that a good experience for you?
Oh, it was great. Even though my motorhome, everything in the world could happen to it, but we got through it.
Is that part of the targeting, you think?
Yes, it is. It definitely is.
Is there any doubt in your mind?
No, none whatsoever.
That what we experienced when we were out on the road, although we never complained about anything, we just dealt with each and every incident. Didn't stop us, did it?
No, it didn't. They couldn't stop us.
When we were out on the road, were there times where we were almost killed?
Well, I'll put it this way. There's times where we had 25 to 30 New Mexico cops coming as fast as they could come, their lights on toward us, and we knew who they was going to pull over. We had 20 cars behind us, but naturally they pulled us over. And when you got out with the iPod, the guy had his gun he had his hand on his gun, so they're trigger happy, and we've always got to keep that in mind.
Do you remember that day also we were driving down the road and we had people that were surrounding us? La Raza was running us
El
off the
Paso.
road. Is that another incident where people were targeting us and running us off the road, and you thought that, you know, we were in trouble, obviously?
Well, I didn't really feel like we were in too much trouble, because if they just started getting out with guns, but it did turn into that before it was over. But you know, it's just that we're in a 40-foot motorhome, and it's a diesel. I mean, this is not just a small motorhome, and you're going to have like a S10 Chevy pickup that wants to run us off the road. I don't give. You ain't going to take me out of my lane. And I held my lane. I just laid on the air horn on him. So
that's what I was going to get to. At any point in time, no matter what was happening to us at that moment, and when we were getting run off the road, did you flinch at all or have any fear that we were going to just take care of business?
No, I knew that we was going to do what we had to do,
right.
And we're going to try to stay alive.
Right.
But also, Pete, on that trip, you were up talking to somebody, and there were 6 in El Paso, and the police there were very nice to us. They were all Mexicans. They came up to me and asked me, in that motorhome, do you have, we know you got a radio station. I said, how do you know we got a radio station? Because I think at that time we took most of the stuff off the side. They said, we know you are. They said, do you have any recording device on you? I said, no. They said, look, you guys got you got a lot of publicity here today, because that freeway was as far back as you could look on that freeway. I think it was a 10, I'm not sure. It was shut down because of what they tried to do to us. They said, y'all got a lot of publicity, and we agree with you, but we can't speak out. I said, it's going to come a time when you better speak out.
There you go. There you go. That whole experience across the border, were you convinced that Texas, when we were down there in Texas, we got to McAllen, Texas, you were on that border, and you saw the fences, and you saw who was coming over, was there any doubt in your mind that our borders are wide open with no regard whatsoever for
Oh, no. And when even the Border Patrol told us that, when we walked down there and you see 40 people waiting to come across, and then we seen a man, a woman, and a small child, and then they had, you know, them guys knew how to track, and they showed you the baby's feet where the baby was actually walking barefoot. And I do feel sorry for these people, Pete. Everybody thinks they're coming to America for freedom. Man, you're coming to a big trap, because we don't have freedom here. But I can't blame them for, they've heard everything good about America. You can't blame them for wanting to come.
Would you say that, what would you say to the people that are trying to come to this country, as to whether they should come to this country or stay in their own country? You just mentioned something about they think they're coming here for freedom.
Oh, I don't care what country you live in. I think you're better off in your country than you are in America today. I got a friend of mine that I met when I was working at a gold shop from Syria. I said, Nick, let me explain something to you. How long you been here? And he told me 11 years. You're going to regret the day you came. You know, that man finally told me a year ago, you can't even remember what the first thing you told me? I said, yeah. He said, I'm already regretting it. He said, and he told me, now he's from Syria, got family still there. told me Assad was very well respected. That everybody didn't hate Assad, is like they were saying. I don't know nothing about it. I'm not political, but he told me that Assad was very well respected.
Mm-hmm.
But yet our government wants to throw him out and put one of their minions in.
All right, Kenny. You and I mean, you've lived a great life. I mean, you're over 70 years old, and you've had success, and you've always enjoyed life. I mean, even through what we're going through, and the protests we've been to, and the stuff we've done. Still, it's a good feeling to be out there trying to do something.
Right.
Do you have any faith at all that we as a people are going to be able to take our country back in the way that you're attempting to do single-handedly?
Well, that's a tough question, because I really don't think the American people's got it in them. And I think by the time they do get it in them, Pete, to have a backbone, I think it's going to be too late.
You think so, huh?
Yeah, I honestly do, because I think the American people, they think, well, you should give more to this and that. You can never beat a system like if you go back to even 1940, 1950, where your neighbors, I remember watermelon guys drive around in a pickup and sell watermelons. That's economy. We don't have that anymore. We've lost that. Now everybody thinks, well, we go to socialism or communism, and that's going to be great. Everybody's equal. Well, everybody ain't equal. Even if when you got communism, there's always people that just depend on the government for everything, and there's people willing to work a little harder to get a little more, even in communism. Mm-hmm. So, and everybody says, well, we live in a democracy. We was never meant to be a democracy. We were meant to be a republic where every man's got his rights. 51% of the people can't say, well, we're going to vote away Johnny's rights because we don't believe the way he believes. We just vote them away. That should never be. And I think we still are a republic, even though we don't live it.
You saw what happened at Bunny Ranch, and that's
yes.
a very historic occasion. And you saw what the power of the people were.
Right.
So even despite that, you not believing that we may be able to save our country, you still go out. You just yesterday morning you went out to a garage sale and handed out DVDs.
Right.
Is there anything that's going to stop you from trying to do what you can while you're here?
Till the day I die.
Till the day you die. Right?
Till the day.
You think that's the same attitude we all need to have?
If we don't have it, we sure ain't gonna solve it.
Yeah.
We've all got to get, and they and when people get fear, Pete, they thrive off of your fear. They get power from your fear, and people, that's the spiritual part that people don't get. You get a little bit of fear, and they keep everybody into fear, because when you're into fear, you're more willing to give up your rights. Give me safety, keep me safe. Well, when you got people that don't want to keep, they want you to think they're keeping you safe, but they won't take all your rights away and make slaves out of all of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and your work for the targeted individuals, obviously you're very passionate about also educating them on what's happening to them. Have you run into a lot of people that are just too far gone and they can't be saved? Give us an example of people that have been targeted. And
I've run into a lot of them, Pete, that they get in their heads and they honestly make them believe stuff. Like, I'll just use for example, one girl thinks they are shortening her arms up 15 inches, but when she runs around and tells that makes all of us look crazy. They get in their heads, and a lot of them believe that they're writing license plates down. That's going to protect them. That's their evidence. But I mean, this government's so far out of control. But a lot of them commit suicide, and that's a sad part of it.
A lot of them commit suicide, and some of them are homicidal as well. There have been a couple of instances through the group that you work with, the TIs, where people tried to reach out. Aaron Alexis. You heard about that,
right?
Tell us that story just briefly.
Well, he actually emailed the leader of our group, which I don't have too much respect for, but he emailed him 3 times and talked to him, and I didn't know about this, or I would have drove to Washington to stop this guy from doing it. But the emails, if you read them, he said what he's going to do, basically. I don't want you going out and killing somebody. These people, they're not worth giving up your life to kill them. It's never worth that, to give up your life to kill them. Do I think they all need to be killed? Yeah, they need to be taken to trial and killed. Yes, they do. A lot of them. They should get life, or they should be
as a penalty for their crime.
As a penalty for their crime. And then we had Aaron Alexis and Myron May. And Myron May was an attorney, and he comes out and he tells what he's going to do, but yet he perished too. And supposedly he shot 3 people. One of them, I think, still paralyzed or something. But he thought, and I do understand what he thought. He thought, but what he was doing, he was going to bring attention to the target individuals to help us solve this. It doesn't work that way. Don't ever harm somebody else to get further in life. No matter what you're trying to expose, you don't harm innocent people. Never.
You get a lot of telephone calls from people.
I get a lot.
Or either homicidal or suicidal.
Yes, I've talked people out of suicide on the phone.
And it's because, like we discussed earlier, that people don't have that outlet. They can't contact law enforcement. They can't call the medical professionals. So right now, their only resource is to call you, right?
Right, me or somebody else, in the group. Because I'm pretty well known in the group, even though I don't deal too much with the certain name of group. I go on my own. I feel like I get more done. I pick out the people that I want to work with, the people that I feel like are, because I don't want to say some of them are mental, but some of them, they don't even know what's going on with the economy, much less they focus only on what's going on in their life. And I can understand that, but you got to get above that. It ain't just about you. It ain't just about me. It's about what they're doing to all of us. And I understand that these people they just get hung up in the day-to-day because a lot of them are getting tortured. A lot of them are getting burned with the microwaves. Even Ted Gunderson sent me a picture, and he put it on the internet, where he woke up one morning, his whole back looked like he'd been out in the sun for 2 days and without putting anything on it. But yet they scrubbed that off the internet. I cannot find it on the internet.
So this torturing is very, very real.
Oh, it's very real.
Okay. And people get to the point to where they just can't bear the pain anymore. They want to commit suicide.
A lot of them have.
Okay. What do you tell them when you can get?
I tell them don't let them win. I try to talk them out. I say, you're needed. Help us fight. Don't let them win, because when you kill yourself, they won. I will never, and I'll say it on this right here, I will never commit suicide. They can shoot me and make it look like it. They can say anything they want to, but I will never commit suicide.
Because you want to stand and fight.
I want to. At one time, though, Pete, I had thoughts of that. I actually had thoughts of it back years ago. Now, when I really got into seeing what they're doing, they will never drive me to suicide. These are demons. They're worse than demons.
The TIs, they come from all walks of life, all education levels, economic scale, all that stuff. There's people out there that are going to hear your voice, and they think, well, I'm not being targeted. Wow, those poor people over there. What do you have to say to the people who are saying that they're not being targeted, or it's not going to affect them?
Well, it is going to affect them, and more than likely they're being targeted. A lot of people just take when it first starts and they keep it kind of, I call it below the radar and above the radar. When they want you to know, they come at you and they let you know that something ain't right in your life, and when people start following you around, so they let you know. But the ones that don't think it's going to affect them, it is going to affect you. And I'm going to say something about the churches. They get all the pastors now belong to what they call a clergy response team. That whole church, if you're a targeted individual and you go to church, you're going to get targeted in that church. They only need the pastor, which they're actually paying him to preach and do what he wants. And he tells all the people, his people in that church, what to do. Start thinking for yourself. Just because that pastor tells you to do something, stop and think about it. Am I really doing what's right? Am I really doing God's work? Because your pastor, I know he ain't right, or he wouldn't be telling you to do it. Be an individual. Think for yourself.
Okay, hold on one second. Okay. Actually, I got a little bit more room here. Okay.
Okay.
Now I want you to just give it some thought. All right. How you're going to say it, But I'm going to have you. What's the most important thing right now that you can say that we're going to put this out there, right?
Right.
We're going to talk to a lot of people.
Right.
All right. What is the most important message that you can communicate to tell people what they have to do, what they must do, whether or not they're prepared? Maybe something in this thing inspired them, right? How do they take action? What do they do? So I know the answer to that. I want you to convey this, all right? They have to share, and there's a lot of information. Do your homework and share what you find.
Right.
Do your homework and share it like crazy, because the power is in the information, sharing the information. They don't want everyone to know what we're talking about.
Right.
Right? Okay? So, okay. So the purpose of this thing, people get to know you, but mainly to tell people about the truth about what's happening in our world. Okay? They don't want people to know. What's the most important thing that you want to tell everybody right now that's listening to you?
When you find out something that's going on, you share the information, because the more you share, the more other people know, and then when we come together as one, we're very powerful. We can be a very powerful nation when we all come together as one. Can you imagine today, Pete, if we had 300 million Americans that went to Washington and told them all to get out, would they get out? I think they would definitely get out.
Yeah.
But the people, you got so many, they use the divide and conquer so well, just like they're trying to do with the blacks and the whites. They use it, and they get you mad at your neighbor mad at you, and this neighbor mad at the other neighbor, because they don't want them coming together. That's their goal.
You know, being you're like family to me,
right?
And we're all family together. Even our listenership that we connect to, all the TIs, everybody, as we come together on the Pete Santilli show. Would you agree the reason for us, becoming family through this show is that we come together as individuals, we get well informed, and we just build a group of like-minded individuals that are sharing information?
Right, absolutely. And you've got a big group right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people listen to you, a lot of people respect you, and they should. Mm-hmm. Because as far as I'm concerned, you're the only, and I'm not just saying this to build you up, but you're the only one I've seen that tells 100% of the truth no matter what the subject is. Mm-hmm. A lot of alternative media, they won't cover a certain area because you know what, that may bring me too much heat. I may look crazy. They got all the reasons for not doing it. If you know what's going on, you better come out with it, because we don't have that much time left.
If we act now, is it going to require people with an education and rich to save our country? Who is it going to require?
It just requires every American, whether you're poor, black, white, brown, if you're broke, no matter if you got a lot of money, whatever, we all got to come together. It doesn't matter. The money doesn't buy people to come together. I know when they get down in Ferguson, I think it was, they send people in and pay them. Can you imagine? I couldn't imagine taking money to go down trying to make my own race look like they're racist, or the white guy against me to destroy the country. I can't imagine taking money for something like that.
Say that.
Okay. I'm Ken Rhoades. You can find me at gmnken.com, and I got a good website for a lot of, not just the target individuals, but a lot of other things that I cover.